Oh, I still have tea. Jocelyn says hi. He says hi.
All right. I opened up my
You
window.
know this, why I'm out here. Okay, we're gonna get started. And he's just gonna stand in the doorway and stare at me.
Awkward. Didn't mean to say probably stare. Welcome to the Northern Knits Podcast. We are two friends in fibre who knit, craft, and talk everything in between. This is episode 208, I am told. My name is Jocelyn, and my co-host is
Diana.
I currently call Winnipeg, Manitoba home, and Diana currently calls Waterloo, Ontario home. Diana's going to let everybody...
I'm outside. It's so nice.
Diana's going to let everybody know what we're going to cover this week, so long as her husband doesn't continue to stare at her creepily from the door.
He may have migrated to the kitchen window, but I can't see, so that's fine.
Fine. That works.
This week we've got What's in Our Cup, Cool Threads, Woolly Workings, So Little Time, Wool Gathering, and Kniterature.
All right. Shall we talk about what's in our cup?
Yeah. Rattle, rattle, bang. I don't know how much of that is coming through.
Fair enough of it. You're bringing the background noise this week.
Somebody decided that now is a good time to put the shovel away.
Sure.
Thank you. I appreciate your being domestic.
You can sort of hear his mumbles on my end, or at least I can hear it. I don't know if we'll hear it later in the recording. So you almost get man grumble. So we know you're married. That's man grumble.
It was more actually like a small child adorable apology, but from a grown man. So actually kind of cute.
You married him. I hope you find him cute. You're stuck with him all the time now. You notice we're in a pandemic? All the time.
Yes, it's a good thing he's cute.
Mm-hmm. I'm not even dating his brother anymore, and I'm still stuck on the phone for 6+ hours every time he calls. 6 hours, people. All right. I'm drinking some Smile Tiger Paper Tiger decaf coffee that Diana sent me for my birthday. So many words. It's a nice decaf coffee. I'm very much enjoying it.
I'm glad. I've had some of their other coffee. So Smile Tiger is like, wow, really? As we're about to start recording, really?
Yeah.
What was I saying? I've been wildly distracted now.
You're going to talk about Smile Tiger Roasting Company.
Right, Smile Tiger. So they are a coffee shop / roaster in Kitchener, which is, if I wanted to walk, about an hour, but it's like a 20-minute drive. Okay. And yeah, their other stuff is pretty nice. So
excellent. Hey, your package left the house. Whether it made it into a mailbox, postal service thing, I don't actually know, but it's not here anymore.
It's one step closer.
It's closer. When the last step happens, I don't know.
So in like a week and a half, it'll show up.
Probably, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
That's how that works, people. Why, you may ask? Because my brother-in-law took it for me. Because I'm still not allowed to leave the house yet. Though, if the numbers aren't crazy, I am allowed to leave the house next week.
Ooh.
I know.
Go walk all the places.
No, I'm just going to go get groceries. But, you know what I mean.
It's a good enough walk.
Yeah. Well, I walk.
If you don't have that lake at the end of your street, that'll be a lovely little walk.
There's no lakes anywhere. It's too dry in the province for lake season.
Wow.
Yeah. Too dry. So it's a weird spring. All right. We do have cool threads because I'm wearing something because it is only 6 degrees above and I've got windows open because it's rainy and overcast, which is amazing. You get this nice fresh rain smell. There's less dust from all the sand, salt that's put down in the wintertime on the roads. My kind of day. Nice and cool with some wind. I know I should live on like the East Coast or the West Coast where there's a lot of rain. I know. But I am wearing my Habanero cardigan that I made recently because it's the lightest weight cardigan I have next to my cottons. And the cat's sleeping on my cotton. So that wasn't going to happen.
Fair. I don't have any cool threads, but it's like a perfect spring day out here, and it was a crime to sit inside. So I'm outside of my patio, and neighbors have turned their music down now, and yeah, it's good.
All is well.
All is well. The weather is amazing.
Excellent.
Haven't had any birds try to land on my head yet, because that's a danger out here.
I hope that happens. I really do.
I actually kind of do. I was just so surprised.
Mostly because I'm recording, so I'll be able to actually go back and watch it because I won't catch it right now. That's how I do things. Okay. What's next? Guess what we're working?
Cool. Yeah, woolly workings. I have my customary less things.
You said 2, yes?
I have 2, yes.
I've got 3, so I'll go first. As you do. So we're gonna talk about the sock first. Because I was 2/3 done a sock last week. And then I dropped 3 or 4 stitches in the bind off.
No.
I can't pick up stitches, guys.
No.
Not at fingering.
No.
I had to rip my sock and start again.
Oh, that's distressing. Moment of silence for the sock.
That hurt. That hurt.
Oh.
So I got mad. I took a day because it's always the sock's fault. It's always the yarn's fault, never yours.
Yeah, it's always it's never you.
Never you.
Then
I recast on the sock and I'm just about ready to turn my heel.
Oh wow, that took no time.
So as a proof of concept, if I get this sock done for the second time before the end of the month, yes, I can do a pair of socks in a month.
Nice.
Which is good to know. So this is my online, or comfort sock and woolen. It's my comfort sock and woolen skein of yarn in the grayscale colorway that it's got going on. It's a color number, but it goes through the super light pale grays and through a dark gray and then back out again. Striping sock pattern. So it is just the basic vanilla toe up, I love a basic vanilla sock. I really do, with some pretty colored yarn. I really do. I am going to try pattern socks, but I don't know if I'll ever fully leave vanilla sock territory. All right. That puts you up because I've got 3 items. So if you go next, then we're on a rotational cycle.
Okay. Well, as per usual while recording, and I did not think about this, and I just started a new row, so that's great. But I'm working on the King's Flame while we record because I can't knit lace and talk at the same time.
No, we've learned that lesson.
We have learned this lesson. I learned that lesson yet again yesterday.
Well done.
We'll talk about that later. But yeah, this continues to grow very, very slowly because it's the simplest knitting I have on needles right now. So it's my meeting knitting. This thing takes 3 minutes to compile, which isn't enough time to do anything else knitting. And it's podcast recording knitting, which is honestly where it grows the most in a week.
That's fine.
But wow. The yarn just looks really different in daylight. So this is the Malabrigo Makita base, which is a single ply fingering weight in the Diana colorway. And I still can't get over how good the knots look with it. Buttons, the Estonian buttons. I'll get that right eventually.
You will never get it right. Because my brain went, oh, those knots look good. And then I went, wait a minute, that's not the right word. That's the word we made up for them. That's not what they're actually called.
And with the garter stitch texture and the knot button texture. Gosh, I did it right. Wow. Anyway. Very much in love with the yarn.
I'm glad you're enjoying the pattern. As the person who designed it, that makes me happy.
Yeah.
And
good pattern.
I look forward to seeing that finished sometime around the end of the year.
One thing I'm not enthused about is I have found so many thin spots in this yarn. Like I'm only this much into the shawl, and I've got 3 or 4 magic knots in here already from where there were thin spots, and I just magic knotted it back together.
Yeah.
Which is, I am unenthused about that.
Yeah. I'm hoping it's just a one-off problem with that singular skein, and when you get into your next one, it's not a problem.
I hope so. How have I tangled this already? We've barely begun, and I've already tied my yarn in knots. I don't know. I don't know.
Weirdo.
Anyway, that's what I'm working on today.
Let's talk about the other rescue this week.
The other rescue. Oh, yes.
Praise be to the owner of Fireweed Fiber Company, who kindly comes over and knits with me once a month when she drops off sock yarn club yarn, sock club yarn sock club yarn. All the word. Pick a word, Jocelyn.
Sock yarn club yarn.
This is my winter lights. And you think to yourself, Jocelyn, that is a great deal of progress. And you'd be right. It is a great deal of progress. I'm working in 2 colors. There's a pattern. This is good. What you don't know is the 2 hours Erin spent rescuing me because I'd messed up the first half a little bit, the last third not at all, and the middle third entirely. In the row she ticked back for me.
How'd you manage that?
Don't know. I don't know. I'm like, I wasn't tired. I didn't think I was really tired. I didn't think it was terribly off, but no, I was off. I was off. So praise be to friends who are willing to rescue you. Otherwise, I would have had to cast this back on again because I can't do the stitch pickups at fingering weight. But every bump, so like every little gold color bump is that's a 4-row repeat to get that gold color.
Really?
Yeah, you do right side, wrong side gray, right side, wrong side gold. So to complete.
Oh, okay. So it's like mosaic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, I love working and it's a very soothing pattern. I don't know what I did, but I was out to lunch. It was bad. So she kindly rescued it for me. I'm currently still working in my main color and first contrast color for the winter lights, which is a Stephen West pattern. I'm doing it as a part of a knit along that's being hosted by the Modern Skein. She is a wonderful local yarn store if you're in Texas. Because what is local these days?
Yeah, really.
It's delightful. The ladies who are on this cowl with me are absolutely amazing. And we do a weekly check-in on Zoom every Thursday before Critical Role. So it's
delightful.
The highlight of my week. It's so nice. I just love the whole setup for it. So I'm super, super excited to have met all those women and be working on this shawl. And they commiserated with me because I'd made the mistake. I realized I'd made the mistake Thursday morning.
Oh.
So that happened. So thankfully Erin rescued me and I don't have to reknit this 40+ row section.
Yeah. Wow.
That would hurt. So I'm going to make some more progress this week before the Thursday check-in. The hope is I'm just over the halfway point in this Ray section, the section 1 piece here. So I'm hoping to be done this section by Thursday because then I am out of danger zone in my mind. And then on to a whole other section there I can mess things up. Because of course the project lives in my Ginger Snap That Skellington's bag. I have all 4 yarn balls in here. Because it's a Stephen West shawl. Of course I'm using 4 skeins.
Well, yeah. You don't get a small shawl with him.
No, you don't. Well, you can, but even his small shawls are big.
Relatively small.
I just choose the extra large big. Because reasons. All right, your turn.
All right. So the other thing I have going on. My hair is attacking me. I am so close to being done my podcast anniversary knit along on time. Because wouldn't that be amazing if I actually finished 2 knit alongs on time in 1 year, one of which is actually our own? That would be amazing.
Have you ever finished a podcast anniversary knit on time?
I think I did a hat a couple years ago.
And that was still by the skin of your teeth.
Yes.
Yes.
But I did it, I think. I don't quite remember. I'm
think
sure somebody remembers.
I think you had Sarah Hair Don't Care done. Or did you do a different toque? You did one of the Four Sisters toques.
It
They were
was one of those, but I hacked it like 3 different ways
because why would you follow the pattern?
and screwed it up. Yeah, I know. And screwed it up 3 different ways. Anyway, I am so close to being done the lace on the OMAT as I struggle to see where if I'm actually in frame. There we go. I have like 1.5 repeats to be done as the pattern is written.
Okay.
But I think I have enough yarn for more repeats than that. So I think I'm just gonna keep going until I run out of yarn, and then, well, shortly before I run out of yarn, and then bind off. Because this thing is already like reasonably long.
Yeah, like you're coming in on tunic length.
Very much so, yeah.
Which I mean that's not a bad thing. Tunics are good.
Yeah, I guess that's the back. You can see the jog and the colors there. So yeah, this is the front. I'm really excited to wear this with that white dress with the flowers on it because I think that'll go nicely.
Oh, I cannot wait to see you in that. It looks so good.
So if we're gonna keep having weather like this, I might just go straight to summer. I don't know.
Well,
I don't understand this kind of weather in March. This is not March. I don't know what time of year it is, but it can't possibly be March.
it's okay. I'm in the same boat with you.
It's a weird year. Weird year all around.
Like this, we might be able to put plants outside before May long. Yeah, that's how warm it is here.
It is aware that it's
March in Manitoba?
yeah.
I don't know. But I'm out of snow in my yard entirely. Most yards are completely snow free. We rain, we don't snow, and we get to maybe -4, sometimes -9 overnight. But our daytime highs are always in the low Celsiuses, which is normal for this time of year. What we're getting is we're getting record-breaking double-digit days, not inconsistently in March, which is not normal for Manitoba. Not even this
Weird
far south
year.
of Manitoba. It's not. It's weird. It's really weird. Like I'm like Diana. I can count on one hand the number of times there's been no snow on my birthday. There wasn't
Lots.
enough snow to count on my birthday. There was just those, couple of piles left under the trees that hadn't melted. That was it.
Yeah.
That's not snow. There's no lake season, no wet foot season. Like it's just
Just
my
passing
yard
that right on by.
is bone dry. I have a big yard, guys. Like I live in a ranch style house with a really big yard for given that I'm in the city. It's a big yard. It comfortably houses two 80+ pound dogs. And that's just the side yard on one side of the house. I have a very big front yard.
Mm-hmm.
It's a thing. So this is a lot warmer than we really normally are this time of year. It's weird.
It's gonna be rough on farmers this year, I guess.
Oh, if we don't get rain,
Dry already.
yeah, if we don't get enough rain in the spring, it's gonna be like a drought year and it's gonna suck. I'm
Rough.
selling a house this year and I'm not planting a garden. Because keeping a garden in water would be difficult this year. All right.
Oh, I was going to talk about the thing that I had learned again, that I can't knit lace and hold a conversation.
What you're saying is I have time for another row?
It's going to be brief. Because I actually successfully fixed it, I think. So I can't actually see where I screwed it up. Anyway, so yesterday on our Patreon knit-in, I made it like 1 hour and 58 minutes.
Yep.
And then I dropped a stitch in the lace. I was doing so well. Like I was just like breezing along, had a good rhythm, not screwing it up, and like it's doing so good. I was blasting through this lace, and oh, this feels weird. Oh, hey, I've dropped probably a yarn over, and it's gone down like 6 rows in lace. It was one of these eyelet sections. It was around here-ish. By the
Cool.
fact that I can't tell.
Yeah. If you can't tell, then it's
Yeah.
It's
but it
full.
was in one of these open eyelet sections, which is
Mm,
actually better because the more solid sections have decreases
decreases.
that lean both ways.
Okay, then which case,
And
yes, of all.
trying to ladder that back up would have been horrible.
Yeah,
But this you can just like pick it back up and it seems to look fine because like you can't see where I screwed it up
excellent.
as I try to decide whether it should be in direct sunlight or not.
Direct sunlight tends to blow it out a little.
Yeah. I'm gonna rotate myself slightly so I'm less in direct sunlight.
Okay.
All right, that was it. I can't do lace while holding a conversation. I drop stitches, but I can fix lace stitches, so
All
that's
right.
good.
It is. Living in the sew into knitting. Yep.
I think so.
Halloween bag. They just have to commit to the Halloween bag theme and just own nothing but Halloween bags at this point. They're my favorite. And I won't lie like some people do. I have favorites.
I
They're
think
not,
you're allowed to have favorite project bags.
not children, they're bags. I'm not going to hurt their feelings. They're inanimate. I have my podcast anniversary knit along, which happens to be the half moon tea. Which, yes, had I done it as a crop top, I'd be done. I am aware of this. And right now, because I'm closing in on the deadline and I'm not finished, mild regret. But I wouldn't wear a crop top. So not that mild regret. I am into 14 inches from the underarm. Look at all that body. Look at all that body. Look at the body of this
It's a
sweater.
lot of progress.
It's a lot of body. So the armholes are roughly-ish where the color work ends, because yoke, right? You have an armhole roughly where your color work ends. I need 18 inches of body before my 2 inches of ribbing. Because height.
Height is a thing.
This is the part where I start to regret making full-length sweaters, because if I was 15 inches from underarm, which is a fairly standard measurement for underarm to hip bone, I could be ribbing now, or so close to ribbing it hurts. I'm not. I gotta keep going. But it's a lot of progress, since my progress creeper is all the way down here. I realize it's not gonna show up on camera because it's such a colorful yard, and I'm all the way up here. So I am, just about a handspan.
It's like a good 6-8 inches.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. Well, to do a sock for my foot, which is 9 inches, I'm from the tips of my finger to the back of my heel. So yeah, I'm about 6 inches of progress in fingering weight knitting this week. It's a lot of progress. I still have 6 inches to go. So I still have to hull keister this week. And then I have to do my sleeves. The downside is I've turned it back inside out so I can knit on it, guys. I have attached my last ball of yarn, like my last main color. So the last of the Cottage Girl from Zen Yarn Gardens, which looks so pretty caked.
Yes, yes, it does.
So pretty caked. It has been has been attached to my sweater because I'm alternating skeins because they are hand-dyed balls of yarn.
Right.
So I'm alternating just so that I don't have any color problems because I won't notice it right away. But I have this much left of skein number 2. So I'm hoping I can get through the last of the body and haven't eaten too much of skein 3 up to get it finished. We'll find out. I'm 400-ish stitches, somewhere in there, around. The bright side is it's fitted around the girls because I did it to under bust measurements for me. But my under bust measurement and my waist measurement, so under bust is a bit bigger than my waist, and my boobs are a lot bigger than my under bust measurement. So I'll be snug up around the girls, but then I'll A-frame out from there.
Mhm.
And then I'm making it the proper full 20-inch length so that I can wear it with like leggings and stuff. Because then you hit my hip bones at 18, and then I do 2 inches of ribbing so that I'm around the butt area. which is perfect for me. I'm still like feeling this yarn. Like I want to bind off and put this on so bad. Feels so good. So good. But it's not done. It's no I know it's not done and I won't be happy till it's finished correctly. But like just
Mm-hmm.
look at that watercoloring that yarn is doing. You just get such a beautiful flow between the blues and the creams and the browns and the tans and Jocelyn's so happy.
I'm so excited to see that done. That's gonna look so amazing.
I like look at the drape when I hold it. Just
That's gonna
just
be so good.
oh good. So good. I can't wait. I'm running out of time. There's like what, a week left of March? And I'm somehow magically gonna finish 6 inches of body and sleeves. Cool.
Yep.
Cool. Yep. I mean, absolute best case scenario, I get half sleeves. Like I get to my elbow, but that really just depends on how much I've got left in my last cake that I've got left over. Because there's no way the second cake of Cottage Girl makes it to the end of the body.
Hmm.
There's not enough grams left. Not for 4 inches of knitting plus 2 inches of ribbing.
Mm. Yeah.
There's not that much left. So I'm gonna have to take that final cake and separate it into two by gram. And then I think I'm gonna knit the sleeves two at a time. So I can go. Well, I've got enough needles. I'll just put one on one needle, and then I'll just do down as far as I can. I'm gonna add the color working in because I wasn't sure if I was gonna do the color work charts because they
Right.
fall
Right. Right.
upper armish.
Yeah.
But if
Well,
I do
that'll make
that,
your main color go farther if you can do the color work charts.
I can then probably sneak that color work arm at least to elbow length.
Okay. Okay.
And by pre-splitting the sleeves, by pre-splitting that ball up, I know I haven't cut too far into sleeve 2 with sleeve 1's ball of yarn.
Okay.
So that's my hope, but that's a lot of plus a sock, plus other things.
Yeah. You got this.
Oh my god, I don't need to sleep, right?
No.
Sweet
Sleep
jumping
is for the
toes.
weak.
Sweet. If I can be on sleeves by Thursday night for Critical Role, I'm golden because I'm with Critical Role for 3 and a bit hours, right? That's a
You'll just suddenly have sleeves.
I'll just suddenly have a sleeve. Because if I'm working on the sleeve to get to the color work, I'm pushing. And then as soon as I hit color work, well, you know me in color work, I really love color work. So then I
Mm-hmm.
can't stop because I want to finish it. So that'll help me get there. And it's always faster to do the second sleeve or like the second sock than it is to do the first. I don't know why, but it is.
Yeah. I don't know why that is.
It's probably a mind trick perception thingy that I haven't bothered to think about.
Probably.
Hmm.
It's like when you walk somewhere and you're like not quite sure how far it is. It like takes forever to get there, but then on the way back it's so fast.
So fast. Yeah, it's just weird. Time is weird.
Our perception of time makes no sense.
It really doesn't make any sense at all. It really doesn't. I'm going to try on my sock to see if I can turn my heel yet. But I'm out of projects to talk about.
Uh, well, I guess it's time for so little time then.
That's all you, baby. Hey, I'm in my last color work section, my last color stripe section, and then I'm on a heel,
Nice.
which is great because I did that mock short row heel and I freaking loved it. I'm doing it again. Look, I'm wearing homemade socks.
Nice.
Did I weave in the end at the top? No,
No.
no, not woven in. I've been wearing this sock for months. It's just hanging out. I just tuck it inside my sock and go.
It's
With
like
my
it's one little thing. Did you
yep,
at least weave in the toe one,
yep. That would
but
bug
not the
me.
top one?
It would bug me because it would get in my toes. That would bug me. Yep. Says the woman who wears flip flops, so I'm used to things between my toes. It bugs me. But not the top.
Sure.
Didn't bother.
Sure.
Doesn't care. That's okay.
All
I
right.
realized I bound off my other comfort woolen sockin, the grandpa socks.
Mm-hmm.
I realized I bound them off just a touch too tight. Have I
Oh
pulled
no.
the line off? No. My niece's feet are a size 10. I'm going to wash them and give them to her and see if they fit her feet because her ankles are way skinnier than mine.
Mm.
And if they fit her comfortably, well, there we go.
Problem solved.
Problem solved. I can just gift her the socks. She'll love them because my God, is she a good gift for a recipient. And then I know exactly how big to make her socks.
Perfect.
Excellent.
All right.
Diana,
Resurrecting resurrecting a segment we haven't had in a long time. So
I'm
little time.
lazy. I need to stop being lazy. I need to get my butt in gear.
I unpacked boxes and put things in drawers, and I cleared off I'm going to call it a counter because it's actually just attached to the wall and built right in that desk that I was going to point at behind me, but I'm not in that room right now.
Well,
Anyway, point being, I've got space to work on a white surface with a white overhead light. It's so easy to see things.
sewing's gotta happen.
Yes. I still need to pull out my bookcase a little bit so I can actually get at the power outlet to plug my sewing machine in. But as we were discussing earlier, like 80 or 90% of sewing isn't actually sewing.
It's
So it doesn't matter yet.
it's prepping, it's ironing, it's pinning, it's double checking math. The last 10% of sewing involves your machine.
Yeah. So in my unpacking, I unearthed this pattern because I was going to make pajama pants a million years ago.
Is that a
Uh,
Simplicity and McCall's? What are we doing here?
this is McCall's M6474.
Okay.
And I was going to make the F pants.
Oh.
They're just
I'm gonna
long
leave it
pajama
longer.
pants.
I think no, hold that and freeze for a second. I think I own that pattern. Does it got a robe with it?
No,
Yeah, then no, I own a different one.
no, this one has a sleeveless nightgown, a long sleeve nightgown, a tunic thing, a long sleeve tunic, a short sleeve tunic, long pants, and then like capri pants.
Cool. So while you continue to talk about your sewing adventures, I'm gonna go see if I can find mine so I can show you the difference between mine. And then you remember those that Hello Kitty pattern not Hello, a Happy Bunny pattern I have, like the super bright pink with that really sarcastic cartoon bunny?
Yeah.
I wanted to make capris out of those, like pajama capris. I don't wear full pajama pants, guys. I overheat in bed at -20.
Oh, see, and I'm just cold all the time. It's got to be like 30 degrees out Celsius before I'm too hot.
I'm under a sheet in the middle of winter some nights. That's
Oof.
how it goes.
Okay.
So Diana's talks. I'm gonna go see if I can go find my pattern. I'll be back.
All right. Just groove to the neighbor's music a little bit, but I don't think the microphone's picking up. I think they're having a party over there. Anyway, cutting out tissue paper sucks is the first thing that I have learned about sewing. Who thought it was a good idea to print patterns on tissue paper? Like, it's just like you sneeze and it disintegrates, and you're trying to cut it out, and I hate tissue paper is the first thing I've learned about sewing. But I got the pieces cut out. They're safely tucked away, probably blown onto the floor of my office right now because the window is open. They were safely tucked away. Anyway, the exciting part of sewing, this is the fabric, of which I have tons. Do you remember this fabric? Because I'm like 99% sure you were with me when I bought all this stuff.
Yeah, I remember that fabric.
Yeah. So it's got roses and peace signs and the word peace and suns and arrows and hearts and green print on a white background. Just a little bit stretchy. Slightly translucent, as I'm realizing now, but they're going to be pajama pants that I wear at home, so I don't really care.
I think that's totally fair.
So I've got as far as cutting out the tissue paper pattern, and then I found the diagram on there. I read all the instructions, and I found the diagram that's like fold this like this and lay out the pieces in this manner. And like, okay, well, I'm only making pants, so I'm going to disregard how to lay it out on all this fabric to also make a tunic because I'm not doing that. Just making pants. Probably 2 pairs of pants because I'm probably going to screw it up the first time, and I have enough fabric.
I think it's generally a good idea to plan to mess up anytime you attempt something new because that's how you learn.
Yes. So I'm anticipating screwing this up the first time.
Good call. Good call.
Trying to get this folded in half and laid out on my floor. Like, part of the problem is I was trying to do it by myself, and this fabric is just way too long. And also the fabric is way too long, and it's kind of longer than the length of my office. So like it was mostly laid out and then crumpled on one end, but like the amount that I needed to be laid out to lay out pattern pieces for pajama pants were laid out. I cannot get this fabric to line up such that it is free of wrinkles, and also that the two selvage edges are actually together and not like 2 inches separated, because I had it laid out all nicely and perfect and like, great, I'm going to pin this down and cut it. And then I went to like shift things over slightly, and I realized the bottom layer was like 2 inches inside the top layer, and like, this isn't lined up at all. I'm gonna like miss chunks of my pattern this way. So I spent like 90 minutes trying to sew.
This is from my mom's pattern collection. This has legit been around since the early 90s.
I believe it. It has that look to it. I would have believed that was from like the 70s.
It was when my mom used to square dance with dad. She made her own.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a square dancing skirt pattern.
So
I bought this ages ago to cover some of the not as pretty holdy things I have.
is
I have an
it?
entire bin full of patterns, guys.
I have like 4 patterns. But I actually know where they all are now. I have 2 drawers dedicated to sewing things.
Well, that's the first. That's the big start. Just knowing where you've got stuff. A lot of mine are costume. That shouldn't shock anybody.
No. So yeah, like 90 minutes of sewing in heavy quotations was just me arguing, trying to fold fabric. I'm 30 years old. I should be able to fold fabric, but no, I can't. I can't cut out tissue paper or fold fabric. Well, I can't cut out tissue paper. I hate cutting out tissue paper, but I can't fold fabric. And so that's where I'm at in my sewing journey at this juncture.
I don't enjoy cutting out tissue patterns. I own a lot of tissue patterns, so it happens, but it's not my favorite.
It's just such a pain.
It is a
Like
pain.
you sneeze and it goes away.
Yes. Well, I mean, don't sneeze.
Yeah, really, like don't sneeze.
Don't sneeze. That's a bad idea.
Suddenly your pattern goes poof.
That's a bad idea. I have a
I
vote.
will say the shirts on this thing, the ones that are designed to have pockets, really massive pockets.
Good.
Like, I saw the pattern pieces and they're like huge pockets. Like you could fit a 1-liter water bottle in these pockets. Like, I don't think the garment is structurally sound enough for the size of these pockets.
Pockets, I think, went away as a popular item in clothing, especially for women in the 20th century. Until then, we had pockets at all times.
Because they're useful.
I have a Simplicity at Home. It's number 5877, and it is a long night dress, pants and shirt combo, short shirt, short combo, but it also came with a bathrobe. Now, I wanted to make the pants, but make them capris, and the pant pattern's pretty much 2/3 of the way to capris anyway. And I would probably make the long night dress one because it's got slits up really high. So then it'll tuck between my legs.
Okay.
I sleep on my side. But and the bathrobe, because I don't fit bathrobes. I'm gonna have to make my own. So I don't know if that's gonna show up or not.
Oh yeah.
So this is mine. And I was gonna make a pair of capris out of that Happy Bunny, which is like bubblegum pink with a little white bunny that says like F you.
I'm pretty sure I had store-bought pajama pants that were basically that.
You can't get store-bought pajama pants in my size with sarcastic cute bunnies on them because they just don't exist. Well, they do exist, but to get ones that are even close enough to being long enough to the floor to hit me, I have to go to like a 5 or a 6XL in fashion, and they're way too big in the waist, but it is the only way to get enough length in the legs to get them come even close. So I generally don't bother. But remember my black fabric with that beautiful rose print all over it? It's quite chic.
I'm gonna say yes, but only very vaguely.
I'll take a photo for you. It'll have to be lined, but I was sorting my patterns, so like they're in a big box now, guys. They're in a box. They're in one of those cube boxes.
Ooh.
I got rid of half of my patterns. This is only half, and that's all I kept. The rest I gifted to other homes. And even that, half that box is costumes.
I mean, costumes are the most fun things.
But this Simplicity one, which is a part of the, I'm not going to pronounce that correctly. It's number 2774. It's the Killa Art Collection, all collection. The beautiful thing about the Simplicity patterns and Butterick patterns, like today's patterns, is each pattern number is unique to the pattern. So you guys can find it from the number and the name of the company if the pictures aren't coming through terribly clear, or if you're listening and you have no idea what we're showing off. There's this beautiful, it's a series of dresses and tunics.
Ooh.
And their longer ones have got this beautiful, slightly puffed sleeve and little keyhole scooped neckline. And I've got a bunch of really pretty, it's not opaque enough to be worn on its own. Like I'll have to put well, you have to layer, you've got to put lining in your clothing anyway. But I'm gonna have to wear like a slip or something underneath. Like I'm gonna have to, I might probably flatline it to where it needs to be. Like if I flatline it, it'll have enough weight to float properly when I walk. I'm going to do that in a beautiful big flower print on a black background at that full maxi length in that V-neck with a little, yeah.
That'll be gorgeous.
Really
Okay, so I think I've talked about the local fabric store and how I need to be friends with the lady who runs it because we just seem to think the same way about things.
Yes,
so she had the audacity to send a newsletter with this fabric that she was in love with, that I am now also in love with.
Spending your money effectively, good for her.
$6.50 per quarter meter. This stuff is like $26 per meter.
Yep.
And I have in my head a long skirt.
Yep.
And I have done extensive math and extensive YouTube watching for the kind of skirt that I want to make out of this.
Is it like a Victoria Walking skirt?
No, because I was thinking more of a maxi skirt, but I really wanted a the square skirts are called a kerchief skirt. It's like a circle skirt, but you just don't cut the circle, you just leave it as a square.
I think so. I prefer circle skirts. They look better on my frame. So I never really paid. Once I've decided what terminology I need for my body type, I've kind of visibly eject the rest of the terminology out of my brain because I don't require it anymore.
Fair enough. It's your basic circle skirt. You just don't cut the circle. It's a square.
Okay. I know there's a term for it, and it'll probably come to me when I'm recording later, and I'll be looking at myself going, what's wrong with you? You know that word.
Anyway, I want that,
okay.
But I want it to be knee length. And all of my extensive mathing seems to indicate that I need 2.5 to 3 meters of fabric to get what I want.
More if it's patterned.
It is patterned, but I also don't care too much if it lines up. It's a pattern that is fine if it doesn't. Okay. Yeah, the pattern, I should say, is like I can't remember if it's black or navy blue, but it's got like that tattoo rose sort of vibe to it, but also snakes and butterflies.
Yeah, you need that. You want an A-line skirt?
So more swishy than an A-line skirt. Like it's a circle skirt, but pointy.
A circle skirt, but pointy.
A circle skirt, but pointy.
Okay, write down, that's our show title: circle skirt, but pointy.
Yeah. But this is going to require at least 2.5 meters of fabric. This is going to require like $50 or $60 of fabric that I am not confident that I'm going to get right the first time, and I just can't bring myself to commit.
With all your
$60 of fabric,
all your extensive YouTube watching, have you run across the words mock-up?
Yes. So I should do that first.
Always do a mock-up, whether it's like clothing for regular wear or costume clothing, or you're trying a new, always do a at least one mock-up. At least one mock-up.
I'm gonna have to find me some cheap fabric to do a mock-up.
You can buy like literally muslin. You could decide that that's the purposes to ordering yourself new bed sheets and use your old bed sheets.
Could also do that.
Anything fabric can be mock-up material. You can go to the thrift store and buy thrift store fabric and use that as a mock-up. Anything can be mock-up.
Okay, so this sounds like I'm buying some expensive fabric after this, and then also buying some cheap fabric.
Well, it's one of those ones because I've been eyeballing ordering enough to make a full-length walking skirt out of my clan tartan colors.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys know anything about clan tartan fabric? Ouch. And I'm gonna need 10 or 12 yards to do a Victorian walking skirt. Full gored, proper Victorian walking skirt.
Oh,
Full
that's
length.
so much. That's gonna be heavy.
I'm making it out of wool. Why would I make a summer version? I'd make a winter version that I could wear with a pair of petticoats underneath and be warm as all get out with my coat.
Because it's basically wearing a blanket, like a
Basically
big blanket.
wearing a pretty blanket. How is this
Okay,
a bad?
I want this too.
And I would look so classy doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's like 16 pounds a yard or something.
Oof.
So I'm like saving for that. But in the meantime, I'm going to do when because I ordered some truly Victorian patterns. I did not order that picture with the puffy sleeves I sent you because that's not the kind of puff I like on my sleeves.
Mm.
But it's a you kind of puff, so I sent it to the photo too. But I've ordered a couple of those patterns, and I'm going to do a mock-up of the walking skirt, and then I'm going to do a summer version, which will be the next one, and then I'll do like a fall version, then the winter version, which will be so I can go cottons and linens into really lightweight wools into the like a heavier tartan wool. Yeah, yeah, so good. I'm not giving up my deep V's. I'm not giving up my fashion fabrics. Like I'm okay with some polyesters and stuff, but like I know how natural fibers work better. I'm not a fan of straight up cotton. I like cotton blends a lot better. I like how they wear a lot better.
And
But
cotton on its own is pretty stiff.
yeah. So like and that's fine. That's for my clothing, those are my preferences. But I do know when I move to corset, and one of the patterns I ordered was a corset pattern. When I move over to corsets, it's going to necessitate a change in my tops.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll change proportions somewhat for my pants and stuff. So I'm moving more towards skirts and dresses because I have more leeway that way. So I can start building a wardrobe that I want, knowing that it'll work fine in bras and modern undergarments, and it'll also work fine under the corset. And it'll still be an undergarment. Because I gotta order some linens. That's what I gotta order, some fine lightweight linens because I need some chemises styles. I mean, I'm essentially gonna make a linen tank top. Don't get me wrong, at some point I'll probably make really pretty frilly lacy Victorian undergarments because they look super girly and that's gonna happen. But
Yeah.
for my everyday under modern wear, I want some tank top linen things because you never wear your corset next to your skin. So like
Mm-hmm.
I need some of those and a corset, and then I can start worrying about my other garments and stuff. But I can make the dresses that I show because they're fashion fabrics, and they'll hide that line I'm gonna get across here instead of diagonal. It's like now you get that diagonal line on your bra where
Yeah.
your bra ends and your boob starts, as that's the structure of modern bras. Corsets go this way. It's a
Mm-hmm.
different line, so you have to cover it differently. That's fine.
Or the other thing I was thinking about making was Bernadette Banner's pirate shirt in quotations.
That would look so good. Yeah, her for fun pirate shirt that she did. I have a
Yeah.
pattern for a pirate shirt. Of course, I have a pattern for a pirate shirt.
I like the sound of this is all rectangles.
It is all rectangles. I think did she hand sew hers? I think she hand sewed hers.
Yeah. I'm not gonna. Ain't nobody got why I ain't got time for. Well, I do totally actually have time for that because
Pandemic.
nothing else going on. But I'm not going to.
I like hand sewing my hems because then your hemline is clean. I am addicted to that. I'm not sure I would ever fully get quite that far into hand sewing, but I do. And hand sewing a hem, still a big job.
Yeah.
A big job.
I hand sewed exactly one face mask during this pandemic.
Yep.
I actually I did a not terrible job given it was my first time.
It was your very
And
first.
I actually really enjoyed the process of it.
Like,
So I could see myself getting into it,
I'm never gonna
but
hand
I also just want to have a finished thing.
I'm never gonna hand sew my corsets. I'm never gonna hand sew my side seams. Like there'll be things I will never hand sew. My hems, my neckline details, like my finishing touches, I already do that because I like the look of it better. So I'll just keep doing that. But I mean, I just finally adopted flatlining 2 years ago.
I can't quite remember what is flatlining.
So most clothes, when they're constructed now, you construct your lining layer, and then you construct your outside layer, and then you put them together.
Uh-huh.
Usually through some fancy right side together, sew it, flip it inside out, poof, magic
Yeah.
that you don't
Okay, yeah.
always get right the first time. Flatlining is sewing your lining to your fabric pieces and then sewing the garment together.
Where do you magically hide the seam edge?
You don't magically hide the seam edge. You finish your seams, or you don't bother because a lot of
Because
people,
it's on the inside and nobody's gonna see it.
so long as it's flat ironed and if the fabric doesn't fray, and most of us work in fabrics that don't fray, if you pinking shear it, iron it flat, you're fine. I like to do a lot of times with the flat lining now that I've gotten to it. Again, if I want to do down the side seams, I just press it flat and then I run a top stitch line down the side seam, and then I have that double line down my seam, down my garment.
Okay.
There's nice vertical lines, right? Same with the
Mm-hmm.
shoulders because they're under here, so nobody sees them. It's fine. But what it means is at the bottom is I've got that layer of lining. I've got my layer of real fabric that's always a little bit longer. So I fold that up on the inside, fold it again underneath if I need to. Then what I'm sewing, or fell stitching, as Bernadette would say,
Mm-hmm.
whip stitch. I'm lazy, guys. It's a whip stitch. You just can't see it. And it's nowhere near as pretty as hers because I can't see that well. I'm sewing through 2 layers of fashion fabric on the hem and the lining, and you never see the stitch on the top layer on the outside of the fabric.
True. True.
But it secures it. It also adds, in my case, because I love skirts and I love really long skirts, lining it adds that weight so you get that good swish.
Yeah.
Is where it's supposed to. Although I've never worked in some of the stuff that she's worked in, so I'm like feeling like I need to order some tarlatan and play around with that because that looks like that would be
Oh
great.
yeah, that looked like fun.
Looks great, but not for something I'm going to wash all the time. That would be bad. But for like the wool ones that I won't be washing, that would be fine.
Yeah.
But she's
Who's
bringing up a velvet dress. I know how bad velvet is to work in. No,
that?
no. Oh, no. And Diana can tell you I will work with some stretchy fabrics. Velvet, no. Nope, I'm not doing that to myself.
I have not yet had the pleasure. I'm sure I will do it to myself at some point in my life and go, wow, never again.
Yeah, pretty much. The finished look, if you do it right, is beautiful. It's the doing it right is a holy nightmare. Holy nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Oh goodness. But yeah, that's really the difference between lining. I mean, there's obviously more precise terms that you could use and a much better description. I am not a tutorial people. You have YouTube for that. There are books for that. There are people you can talk to for that. If you're confused, take a sewing course. Super helpful. Do as you're instructed. Buy a thimble. You're welcome. If you don't like thimbles, it's because it's not the right size.
Fair.
And they
I
come in
think
sizes, which I don't think a lot of people know.
I did not until I watched that one video.
I have 4, and I never thought about it to say, hey, thimbles come in different sizes because I just own 4 thimbles that are the right size for my finger. But I've been hand sewing since I was a child because your sewing classes in elementary school were taught with Inuit elders. So I grew up hand beading and sewing moccasins together by hand with like leather sinew and traditional Inuit style beading because at fur because that was my sewing class as a child, and we did it in the springtime. They would set up the summer hut and you would do it in the summer hut. So like I did old school Inuit hand sewing techniques in an old school Inuit summer house.
That sounds amazing.
Cultural learning. So like I still like hand sewing. I can't bead anymore. I really can't bead anymore. That's not an option for me. it's not gonna work. But I can still hand sew if I'm careful. So that's what they made magnifying lights for.
Yep.
So that's the thing. But yeah, I'm excited that you're doing it. But once you get over the fiddly bits, you'll get addicted. And once you start making stuff that fits you perfectly, you're gonna be hard pressed to want to buy clothes because your brain will be like, why?
I could make this.
I could make it if I really wanted it. And then I'm making it out of the exact fabric I want in the exact size I need it to be, and it's gonna fit me properly.
Even just being able to tailor existing stuff would be like a huge skill improvement.
Yep. My next step is tailoring, which is a whole other can of worms. But I want a nice fitted waistcoat. There's things I want. I want jackets to fit me properly, like fitted business jackets and stuff.
Oof, yeah, that would be a magical thing.
That's tailoring. That's a whole other skill set, and I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm miles away from being able to do any of that. First step is some new dresses, some new shirts, and getting a couple winter coats done.
I'm gonna start with pajama pants and skirts.
Yeah,
presumably maxi skirts, and when I'm feeling really ambitious, a pirate shirt.
Works for me.
All right, that was a massive so little time.
Well, it's because I like sewing. I just don't do it. And my problem is once I get over the hump and start doing it, it won't be a problem. I just got to get over that inertia problem.
Maybe finish all the knitting things this week and sewing after that?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, you're out of time for leeway on the 8-bit. I'm picking that back up this week.
Yeah, I haven't had the strength to rip it out.
You got your week off, so I'm back now.
Okay.
There's your warning.
I've been warned.
Which I guess, yeah, because that just leaves us with wool gathering and then books, doesn't it?
It does.
Would you like to do your ad spot for Patreon, or shall I start us off?
I'll do my ad-libbed ad spot for Patreon. Ad-lib, ad spot, add-on, add-on. I don't know. I don't know where my brain just went. I don't know. So Patreon, that's the thing that we have. If you would like to financially support my inane ramblings and Jocelyn's more coherent ramblings, let's try this again. Patreon is a method of financially supporting this weirdness that occurs in front of your eyes every week or in front of your ears every week. If you support us at any level, that gets you access to our weekly experimental Tuesday blog posts, our patrons only Discord, and we have something, bonus content, early access to our bonus content when we put that up, which isn't super often, but it does happen. I'll have a house tour coming up once we hang the art, once we figure out where we can actually hang the art.
Okay.
And as always, if you can't financially support us, liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting, just engaging with the content on any platform is immensely helpful to getting us spread around the internet.
Spread around the internet makes it sound like Nutella toast spread.
Yeah, throw some sprinkles on there.
Nutella.
Good and sugary.
No sprinkles, that would make me sick, but I can have Nutella.
Right.
The thing.
Edible glitter then for fanciness?
Sure, I can have some edible glitters. Gosh. As always, you can find us across several different platforms. Obviously, here on the YouTubes, anywhere where you happen to be listening to us in a podcast format. We're also occasionally on Ravelry. Diane and I aren't huge checkers in, but we do have threads there and chats there for people and for the community to interact. We also have a Facebook group that you're more than welcome to enter and join up with us. P.S. The password, question, comment thing you have to tell us where we prompt you to answer a question is don't forget to knit.
Yep.
Feels obvious, but just in case. We're also on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter. Diana's hard to track down at any point in the week, but if you ask me, I will prompt her to reply to you. These are things I can do for you people. Usually it involves me texting Diana going, hey, someone's talking to you.
And then me going, oh, hey, I forgot to not unsilence my phone this morning.
Which is a thing that she does. So those are always available options for everybody. We have the podcast anniversary wrapping up at the end of this month, so don't forget to get your entries in for that so I can gift all the present deliciousness of e-patterns to everybody. The Ravelry threads are where I primarily pick from. There's a chatter thread as well as a finished object thread. So if you're not going to finish your item in time, start chatting in the chatter thread because I do pull some names from there. If you've got your object done, post it in the finished objects thread so we can A, admire your work, B, add that pattern to our to make list, and C, quietly stock the yarn you used. Important things we need to know, people.
Yep. Very important information.
Very important information. We'll be running our next knit along starting for the 1st of July, so we'll start talking details about that shortly. But if we're honest, the end of March is also Easter weekend for people, and you may be in a place where you're allowed to have family. You may not be in a place where you're allowed to have family, depending on your pandemic numbers. Be safe. Don't worry. Jocelyn's not going to close those threads or check till Monday. Because that's how I roll. It's an ish, people. The start dates are ishes, the end dates are ishes. It's somewhere in there. We're
Pretty
not
ishy.
sticklers. We're not sticklers on these things. So those are going on. We have March Sock Club yarn has arrived from Erin of Fireweed Fiber Co. I told Diana at least twice I wasn't going to wait. I opened it up as soon as it got here. I saw her the next day and she hadn't opened up hers. So that happened.
Okay, you know what? I realized why I keep forgetting about it.
Yep.
It's because I hid it from myself underneath the other two skeins, January and February, so that I wouldn't see it and want to open it every freaking time I looked over there in that corner. And then because I couldn't see it, I forgot about it.
I told you could open it early. And I just said I wasn't going to wait for you. I said, go ahead and open it. Totally doable.
So I'm opening it right now. It's happening.
Okay. We're in a year-long sock club being done by Erin. She is known as Fireweed Fiber Company. She's one of our Patreon members, and she dyes some really freaking gorgeous yarn. So we couldn't say no, or at least I couldn't say no. And then I suckered Diana into joining me in a good sock club. There are bird themed this year, so all of her colorways are based off birds.
Okay. Spoilers if you are in this club and don't have your yarn yet. I don't know. Spoiler warning.
Spoiler warning.
It is rose-breasted grosbeak. And it is gray and red and white and is wonderful. These are my colors.
They're pretty.
Aside from purple. Purple and gray are also my colors, but also red.
I was talking with Erin and she said technically the bird has black on it, but she liked the charcoal gray better than the black.
Agree.
And I agreed. It looks good. So you get a 100-gram full skein and a 20-gram mini in with her sock sets, which is excellent. I like that ratio. And I think these will make freaking gorgeous socks.
Oh, yeah.
Super stoked to cast those on. So that's the thing. Or, go into a Find Your Fade or, many other things where you're using one ofs to make a really pretty pattern. So that was very exciting. That happened.
New yarn.
New yarn. So I think that's it for wool gathering. Like as far as admin details go, I think that's the business end.
Oh yeah, I forgot to say in the Patreon thing, in my terrible Patreon blurb, the next, the other thing that patrons at the higher tiers get is the monthly e-knit-in, and the next one of those is going to be on April the 17th at noon Manitoba time.
You say higher levels, guys. It's $5 a month and up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those reasons. All right. In which case, we're on to books.
Books.
Ta-da! Jocelyn's in a tome topple. So all of these books I'm about to talk about are at minimum 500 pages. And as far as I can tell, I don't know how to pick a book smaller than 580.
So you have lots more books than me.
Oh, yeah, but it's the time of year we're in. So we'll go through in order. I had one of those waffly reading weeks where I couldn't stick to anything. I did finish Obsidian Butterfly by Laurel K. Hamilton. It's one in the Anita Blake series that I've been slowly re-listening to. I then ended up picking up Narcissus in Chains by Laurel K. Hamilton, which is the next in the series. They're both over 500 pages. I think Narcissus in Chains is over 600 pages. But before I got to Narcissus in Chains, I got distracted because I went, oh, I really should listen to Starless by Jacqueline Carey because it's been on my list for a bit. I want to read it. It's Tome Topple. It's over 600 pages. Let's do it. I started it, and it's going to be this beautiful epic fantasy. I wasn't really feeling the start up for an epic fantasy because it can be a little draggy to start because you got to do a lot of exposition. You got to explain the world and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine. So I ended up putting that down, and I was like, okay, well, maybe I want something that isn't quite so exposition-y, but still world epic-y. So then I picked up Kershell's Chosen, which is the second in the Kershell Dart. I think it's the Inheritance trilogy. There are 3 trilogies. They all revolve in the same world of Terre d'Ange, and the first trilogy has to do with Phaedra Nondolane. Smart listeners will realize my cat's name is also Phaedra. Now you know. Now you know. The second trilogy is a bit later, and then the third trilogy is like the next generation. So things are happening. I'm in the first trilogy. I'm in the second book of the first trilogy. I was listening to it. I'm like, oh, I love it. And I know what happens. So I'm very comfortable there. But I was like, no. That's how I ended up at Narcissus in Chains. And then my hold for Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind, came up. So I feel like that's probably going to be my next listen. It's also over 500 pages. It's a nonfiction book about the history of humanity.
So that one's been on my list for a while, so let me know how it is. And if it's really good, it'll get bumped up my list.
Because it's been on my list for a long time, and I'm like, I enjoy history a lot. It sounds interesting. I should listen to it. So that's where we're at. As case may be. That's it.
Cool.
That's a lot going on.
Yeah. So I also had a waffly reading week, but instead of picking up different books, I just like went and started a sewing project or watched Critical Role or whatever. So I'm still reading very slowly Scion of the Fox, which is it's a fantasy set in Winnipeg, which continues to be supremely interesting when the author references like this place. I've been to this place. I know this place. It's really weird for a fantasy thing to be happening in this place. So that's interesting. And then I'm still listening to Disfigured, which I am super duper into. Thank you for that recommendation. Disfigured is amazing. I am thinking about so many things that I never thought about before. My brain is expanded.
But she doesn't blame people for not knowing. And I find a lot of the books get very bad shame people, and she doesn't do that.
No, it's just like,
Brilliant.
so you know this thing. Here's how I see thing.
Yeah.
Here's how some other people see thing.
Yeah.
And it just interpretations of a thing that just would never have occurred to me because that's not how I see thing.
Yeah. Blows your mind in a good way.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is enlightening in the best way.
I know, that's why I was like, read it. And I don't generally, Diana knows I don't generally go book now.
This is book now. Read book now.
You might enjoy it. I don't know. Give it a try. But this is book now recommending going on, which is not normal for me.
And the audiobook is like 8 hours long, so it's not even huge.
Yeah, it's not a big book. It's a really quick book. It's a very fascinating read. I was doing it to Ben the other day. I was like, book. He's like, yeah. Read the book.
Read book. Read book.
Bites me more than you do about reading. Like, read book.
In case people are listening and want to know, the full title of this book is Disfigured on Fairy Tales, Disability, and Making Space by Amanda Leduc.
It's a very good book.
Very good book. It'll be linked in the show notes, as always.
Oh yeah, I gave you like a bazillion books to list. Like I do. Hey, there's only another full week and a bit of Chum Topple.
So like 4,000 more pages?
It's gonna feel like it by the time I'm done. That's fine. On the bright side, it does mean we're all done for the week. So I can say until next week, I'm Jocelyn.
And I'm Diana.
And no matter where your week takes you,
Don't forget to knit.
Ta-da!